Hello, everyone. I'm Bon Alamagno, publishing director with Comics Experience Publishing, um, brand new publisher in the American direct market. We just had our first book, Stud and the Bloodblade, available for pre-ordering last month, and this month, would love to talk about Howling Snow by David Ramirez Ramos and Ensoul. Um, we're calling it the Kung-Fu Fable, and we're going to get a little bit into how it's a Kung Fu Fable here. Um, but yeah, just wanted to welcome you all. Thank you all for supporting us. We've gotten numbers already for Stud, and they look great. Superi and Jed, thank you. And now I want to put some of the spotlight onto a really great book, Howling Snow. I'll be showing some pages from it shortly, but I wanted to talk and introduce David first. So, David, you've got a really fascinating story where you're inspired by your travels to China to write Howling Snow. Can you talk a little bit about what drew you to China, and then what specific things that you encountered in China that helped inspire this story?
Sure. Yeah, first of all, hi everyone. Thank you for being here. Uh, Actually, I originally came up with this story before I went to China. I wrote it as a short story when I was in university, but it was very bare bones, very simple. It was basically the same plot, but it was just very simple. But later on, yeah, I lived most of my adult life in China, in Asia. So it kind of became informed by the experiences of living there. And like the town you see in the story is the town that I lived in China. Though many of the places you will see are actually real places that exist. And just inspired by living there and meeting people. And many times when you're a foreigner, when you're an expat, especially in China, you feel very like you don't belong, like a kind of like an outsider. So this a lot of this is in the story, but mixed with like my love of like Chinese mythology and folklore.
And it's got a really spiritual um, heart to it as well, where you've got a lead character who sort of described it in our publicity as almost finding um, enlightenment. I don't know if that's maybe the right way to describe it, but I guess could you describe what you wanted the readers to get out of this, like the spiritual journey that Fox goes on? Like what do you want the readers to get out of that?
Uh, well, I don't know. I guess everyone is in their own journey. So basically, like I mentioned before, my idea is just to have a fun comic with animals and kung fu and magic. So if you just get entertainment out of it, that's cool. But if you can find something else, that's cool too. I started reading up on Buddhism and Taoism and actually hanging out in temples in China in the town that I used to live, and I'm trying to understand that idea. And one kind of idea that always fascinated me is that there's like a figure sometimes called the Dharmapala, which is kind of like a demon or a kind of like a angry god, like that becomes a guardian in Buddhism. So if you see these temples, you always see these very fierce, very monstrous gods, and it's basically like a demon turned to the side of good and trying to find enlightenment. So I found that idea fascinating, and that's a little bit of what the story is about. Like the fox is kind of he's more like a kind of like a trickster demon, having fun and enjoying himself, but he tries to find kind of like enlightenment and balance, and become maybe some sort of like a guardian.
Yeah, and especially now with the success of Loki, I think we're all
Yeah,
getting more uh, familiar with like trickster gods and the idea of how they bring chaos but bring change. Um, so let me show a couple pages in the covers from the book.
sure.
Could you talk a little bit about how Ensoul is just a
Oh, I
fascinating
love her.
artist?
She's the best. She's the best.
Yeah, how did
She,
you? I guess could you talk about how you found her?
oh man, getting an artist for this project was such an ordeal. Man. You have no idea. I had to pass through so many different artists, and I don't know. Many of them were, all of them were pretty good, but like they were never the right fit, and sometimes they had other commitments. So I spent like I can say like a couple of years looking for an artist for this, and I met Ensoul in the Shanghai Comic Con in I don't remember the year, but I met her in the Shanghai Comic Con, and she was selling stickers of her drawings and some of her art, and she was really cool. She was so we got talking, and but at that time, I was gonna do this comic with a different artist, so I was talking to her, and I wasn't even thinking of getting her for the comic. But and then like months later, that artist, the deal with that artist fell through because that artist wanted to change the story very much. She wanted to put more many of her own ideas, and they were good ideas, but there was not the same story. It was like basically wanted to change the story. So things fell through, and I was without an artist, so I decided to call Ensoul, and yeah, she sent me the script, and if I like it, we'll do it. And it turned out she loved it. She was really passionate about the script. She was That was the best part, that she was not just like a geek for her, that she was really into it. She was really into the story and really like it. So we start working together then, and the problem is that I couldn't pay her that much. Like she deserved much more for this quality of art, and
Mhm.
it was basically I got her like a super good price. But because I couldn't pay her that much, she was very slow because she got other commitments. So it took her like a couple of years to complete the comic. But the result is totally worth it. I mean, she's amazing, and she's kind of very well known in the artist community in China. Like everybody I talk to is like, "Oh my God, yeah, she's awesome.
Mhm.
She everybody knows her and likes her very much." Although she hasn't done that many comics, she's done more like illustration work. I think this will be her first complete comic. So yeah. We just and actually we didn't talk that much. I mean, we just met like in person maybe two times during this whole process, and we mostly communicated by email, and yeah, it was very seamless, very easy to work with her. She just got exactly what I had in mind, and just had to give her very few notes and here and there, but she did an amazing work.
And that's amazing because like looking at some of these pages, like even like these are the first pages, and
Yep.
when I think about we're calling this comic a Kung Fu Fable, and just like that panel feels like more of traditional illustration, and then we're moving more into almost like a manga type feel
Hmm.
here, and she just shifts tones and styles just with ease,
Yeah.
and
She's great.
it's like the perfect tone for like no matter what part of the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah, no, she's really blew my mind. And yeah, like I said, working with her was super easy, barely an inconvenience, like they say. Yeah, like I just sent her the script, and she doesn't speak English very well. She actually had the script translated into Chinese, so she could work with it. But there, she knocked her out of the park. And like I said, actually, all these places that you see of the town, these are based in real life places, and I don't think she had been in that city of China, so she had to get. I just told her like, this is the place. It's based on this place. And I guess she found references and everything, and yeah, she's the clothes, everything is. But yeah, again, these are like real. real clothes that they wear in this part of China and everything. So yeah, it's super good.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, just like in terms of like the detail, um, and the authenticity of the fashion, the authenticity of the backgrounds, um, but also just a very distinct style of her own.
Yeah. Yes, she's doing a comic. I hope maybe someday she will do it in English, but it's kind of like all based on like Tibetan mythology,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like in the Tibet, all set in like the Tibetan afterlife or something. But it's about like a detective in the Tibetan afterlife. That's her original comic. So I hope one day she will get a way to do it in English because that's like super cool. That I saw and I was
Hmm.
like, wow, this is amazing. So that's how I got to know her work. Yeah, the coloring is insane. The lightning, everything. Yeah, I love her. She's the best. She's the best.
Was there anything in particular as you were writing this that you learned about the process, or just something about creating a comic for you that surprised you?
Yeah, it was surprised me how complicated it was. Like I thought it was gonna be easier, but to have everything just right, it took a long time. Like even like finishing the script in like the final version of the script took a couple of years. Doing the artwork took another couple of years. When I was doing the final editing, like I didn't remember a lot of things because it's already been like 4 years. So it's like okay, I have to revise this and get back in that mindset. So I hope whatever project I get to do in the future, it will move faster.
Yeah, I can only imagine, like, especially for, this isn't work for hire. This is yours. This is
Yes.
coming out of your own heart and mind and soul. And
Yeah.
I guess when did you know that you were done and that this was ready? Because it feels like you're the sort of person who would keep picking at it to make sure it was perfect. So I guess when did you know, in your heart, that it was done and ready for Ensoul?
I guess it was her that she told me like the script was awesome and it was ready to be a comic. When I sent her like the draft and like she said, "Oh yeah, I can. This is totally a comic. This is awesome." So I guess like that's when I knew when I guess if she had said, maybe keep tinkering with it before send it to me again, I would have kept working on it. So
Is
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
is there anything from working on this, that now that you've put out your own comic, something that you can call your own? Do you have any advice for any comics creators who have never published yet and are getting going and getting started?
Uh, well, there's a lot of advice, but I guess something simple is try to keep it contained. That was like the hardest part for me because it keeps expanding. The story keep becoming bigger and bigger. Like this originally was gonna be a 10-page comic,
Hmm.
so it kept growing until it's almost like 50, and it could have kept growing more. So I had to stop. I had to say no. This is it. This is how it's gonna stop. So this is like one of the most difficult parts that the story keeps growing in your head, and you want to put more things and more things, and you have to limit yourself on that. You have to say, okay, this is gonna be a one shot, or and this is gonna be it, or this is gonna be a mini series. This is gonna be it. So yeah, I think this is a very important piece of advice.
Do you think it could? Would you want to go back to this universe or come back to this story?
Yeah, definitely, but with like a completely different story, like another one shot, not continue this, not a direct sequel, but like Fox in another adventure in another place. And yeah, I've been talking with Ensoul about doing
Mm.
a possible sequel. So yeah, maybe I have a few ideas. So maybe hopefully soon. We'll see how this one does, and maybe there will be demand for more, and we'll see if we can do more.
Yeah, and speaking of which, in terms of because I know that like a lot of your, again, CX Publishing is introducing a lot of new creators into the American direct market. And is there anything in particular that you'd like to say to retailers, to potential new readers, something that uh, uh, to just let people know, like, where did this in terms of like where did this come from and how this can speak to them?
Yeah, yeah. I would like people to give it a shot, give it a chance. This is something very different to, I think, anything else that it's in the market. I think it's like a mix between European comic and manga. I would say in my mind, I see it like that. And it's something that comes from the heart. It's like something very like really based on my own life experiences. Although it's fantasy and mythology, it's very, I think it's kind of personal. So I hope, yeah, like people will give it a shot to read something different, something with in a fantastic world with a lot of action, a lot of magic. So yeah, I hope like people will like it. And if they like it, we'll make more.
And I'm sure they will.
Hopefully, hopefully, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to go too far into the comic, to not spoil anything, but yeah, like all the way from beginning to end, I loved it. I remember reading like a draft of this. I think a couple like last year, I think, and that was before CX Publishing started. That was back when I was still part of Comic Experience, and just we were talking about just in terms of the books coming out of Comic Experience, which were the ones that we thought ought to be published with our publishing partner at the time. So now that we actually have the ability to publish it ourselves, just really proud and
yeah.
happy to
Thank you,
be
thank you. I'm
to be
very
part of
happy,
that.
very
And thank
happy to be
now
here.
thank you for all your hard work. I mean, this is
No,
just
thank you so much.
yeah,
Thank you for helping me putting it out into the world.
yeah, my absolute pleasure and honor.
Yeah.
Um, So, just wanted to bring up to the folks watching this that you can actually pre-order Howling Snow not just from your comic shop, but through the comicexperiencepublishing.com website, just by going to cxpublishing.com/store. You'll see not only Howling Snow, but also some of the other books like Stud and the Bloodblade that we have available for pre-order. Um, if you would like to pre-order with your comic shop, please do so by June 24th. That's when initial orders will be due. And you could take the order codes you see rolling down at the bottom and just pass that along. We've got a great cover one by Ensoul and a cover two, and both are available at $4.99. I should also mention too that this is a double-sized issue, $4.99, but for double the content. So one of the best values out there in the market. And yeah, from everything you've heard today, I hope that you can see how much heart and soul got put into it, and that you'll take some of that into yourself, into your own heart and soul as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
so thank you, David, for joining, and thank
Just,
you thank you all
just
for
before we go, I also want to give a shout out to Albert Lin, that was my editor, and Kevin Lintz, that was my letterer. Who both of them are alumni from Comic Experience, also like me, and they also made this a great comic, the great comic that it is. Without their help, also it wouldn't be complete. So I also shout out to them too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you to all involved, and thank you for supporting us, and
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you soon.